Geldiğiniz için ayağınıza sağlık. Sağ olun. Benim yaptığım manyetik çevirici güç ünitesi. Elektrik konusundan anlamıyorum. Elektrik konusunda bütün arkadaşlar bu konuda yardım ediyorlar. Hangi devir ve hangi güçte istenilirse buna göre makine imalatı yapılabiliyor. Tabii bunda da manyetin Gauss'u önemli. Eğer şu anda N62 çıkmış herhalde. Eğer 25.000 Gauss olursa makineler, gördüğünüz makinenin sanayi tipleri bu tarafta, onlar 3'e 4'e katlıyor güçlerini. Benim tek söyleyeceğim, inşallah başarılı oluruz bu konuda. Yatırımcıları bekliyoruz. Teşekkür ederim. Sağ olun.
Let's test the microphone from my side. Is that good for you?
Yes, a bit, yeah.
Yes. Better?
That's better.
Very good. Thank you. Okay? Yes. This one. Okay. Good morning. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Jorge Duarte. I was born in Brazil, where I studied electrical engineering up to the master level in power systems, big machines, electricity as applied to the infrastructure. After the master in Brazil, I came to France for the doctoral studies, working also with the control and design of electrical machines. It was also related to electromagnetism. After my studies in France, I moved to the Netherlands, working at the University in Eindhoven, University in Eindhoven, for the past 35. I understand you well?
Yes,
Good.
a little bit louder.
Louder.
Yeah.
Because I cannot hear it from this side. Yeah? You hear me better than I hear you. This where I stopped. I moved to the Netherlands. For 35 years, I was working at the University in Eindhoven. Also in the field from electrical machines, electromagnetism, power electronics applied to the electricity grid. And 4 months ago, I got the privileged age of get retirement. Nice. And now I'm here as a message of good news. I was invited by Mr. Gis to make a talk to you about these motors. I'm going to talk about an engine unfolding energy from space, as invented by Mr. Gis. This is a very provocative text, title. I'm talking about engine, it's there. Yeah. I'm talking about energy. We can measure the energy from the machine. And I have to talk about space. Because engine and energy is a fact. You can prove it. Space is a model, is an opinion of mine. Yeah? That goes. Because I want to go to this talk following the protocol of the scientific method, of the empirical method, where we learn from facts. Then we have the models and have interpretations, and we improve the models, testing new facts, confirm them, and so on. It's a never-ending story. But the most important device from the scientific method is this one. Numerous in verba. It's what you read in the Royal Society in London when you make the building. Take no words word for it, huh? No words word. Facts. Yeah, don't take no word. Let's see the facts, my motivation to go to this model and where it comes from. But it's not a new idea, of course. A dream to have a machine, as described by the great Tesla here, taking energy from the medium. He was writing about these things, talking this thing already in the beginning of the 20th century, in 1900, in journals. And derive energy from the middle. That is the ideal way to have energy to be used for our industrial process or daily life. There are many interesting things about this sentence of Tesla. But in the beginning of the 21st century, Sir Arthur Clarke is a great writer of scientific fiction, and very interested in science also. He was saying this in 1973, when oil started getting very expensive, in the crisis of those days, they say, okay, the era of cheap power is finished. But unfortunately, the era of the free energy, and the free power is still 50 years ahead, because the price of oil will get more high. Nowadays, it's even worse. Now the energy through oil or gas is not only expensive, but it's even becoming unworkable. And he forecasted us 50 years ahead. In 73, of a few days, we are in 2023, exactly 50 years. I do hope we are going to fulfill this prophecy, but just in time. I think the time came because many of these developments are appearing everywhere. Because the presentation has three parts. I'll talk about the invention and work, my experience with invention and work. Then I'll give you a model of the source of energy involved in it, and I'll give you a model of the invention as such, how to use this energy. Yeah. I have always to emphasize that the experiment, and especially the experiment means something that can repeat independent by other. That is a scientific truth. That is a fact. Yeah? And this is the maximum authority in this room is this machine, the experiment. Yeah? Because we have from this to go further. But my first contact with this machine was in Izmir in 2005. I came here. Why I came here is another story. I'll be up to tomorrow talk. I came here with my own instruments. You can see there on the table. I brought this in my luggage. It was very strange to explain what is this for the one. But and then those days there was the first version of this invention. The 1.0, there you could see many boxes in the box, many wires. And starting it with a small touch in the accumulator from 12 volts, very fast. I counted in 2001, 2002, 3 was enough, just as fine. And it started running, making a lot of noise. And you have light there, I was measuring around 30 watts. But before starting it, before I like to talk about this sheet, I say to Mr. Letiz the following, okay, we are going to start the measurements. I see the box at red, but say now, if there is inside this box, a hidden battery, an accumulator, compress the air, electrochemical reaction, just say it now, because we are going to continue this. But suppose it's going well, we are going to repeat, you're going to repeat to others, but one day you have to open it. There is no other way. And when you open it, if there is a battery inside or something like that, there will come, two things are going to happen. Only two things. I'll have a very nice weekend this year, and you go to jail. Nothing more than that. No, it's a mechanical object. Very well. And then I did the first measurements, registering it, 10 minutes of calculating it. And at a certain moment, I noticed that there is no energy. If the energy used, suppose there is no battery, nothing like that, what could be inside? Because the energy taken from the battery in a few seconds to give the 30 watt in 1 hour, it should be much more than 1,000 amps, and there was no such a thing there. I could see no spikes, nothing. But there's something, if it's not a battery inside, and I was obliged now, just to resist it, because I have to be there the full afternoon, measure, of course. I said, what could it be if it's not a battery or something like that? And I just asked him, Is there a pyramid inside, Mr. This? They are very astonished, of course. And the interpreters was almost refused to translate what I was asking. But they asked me why. I say, no, that's a very old, perhaps one of the oldest dream of humans, that you can interfere in the flow of energy with geometric structures. That is the pyramid idea. Not the pyramid there. The Egyptians think it will be longer, integer, and the petrification will be much later. And the people nowadays is experiment with fruits at home, bananas, something. Indeed, they have an impact. And for instance, in this room, there is no Eastern people today. I'm here, they will say, oh, no, it's not good. The door is not a good place, the wind is not a good place. They call Feng Shui. The geometry of the room impacts the energy here only. Well-being. Oh. In Brazil, my mother country, there are many people healing others with crystals. They use the geometry, they believe these things interfere. In Europe, we have all the mythology with all the Harry Potters with this stick, and geometry concentrate energy. And fun. Do you have or do you have not a pyramid inside? And then they went out, he came back with drawings, machines. When he opened it, indeed, was a pyramid. It was a cone, a rotating pyramid with magnetism. But that was not important. To decide in the drawings, because I work with electrical machines, I saw there an homopolar machine idea. That's an unipolar machine. That is the second part of an experiment of Michael Faraday in England in 1832, 200 years ago. And this is not well understood up to today, very well understood. The first part is the invention of the electric machines, a pillar of the civilization. But the second part, you do not ask this to the first part, they cannot explain very well, they just don't talk about these things. Please, ex-police officer, doing these things without this education, and he could never be prepared for my question about a pyramid anyway. There is something well there. He discovers something for sure. I don't need to see it, show it to the investor. He has to decide to put it forward. Yeah. Then I continue this. I do not want to talk about the second experiment of fire. It's not the moment of the time. But anyway, it was very interesting to see this. Because I have a second demonstration in Dortmund in 2005, a few months after that. Now you can see again the box. I took with me this time a thermal camera, you see to the right. I never lose the opportunity to make my measurements. With the thermal camera, you see, I'm the one with the glasses. I'm warmer than the boxes. It's not producing heat. I'm blue in the creature, and the boxes are a little bit red, around the 19, 20 degrees of the room. There was a room for marriage parties there. You can see the curtains and things like that. The idea is to find a way to put this forward, to find a way to test this machine without opening it, because the inventor wants to make patents. So should measure it somehow, whatsoever, he will pay for it, but he needs a report with a stamp from the institute measuring it, that he can go forward. Yeah, we thought it would be possible to have this, but was not the case. The complications start for me already in 2005, talking about these things that should not be there. Yeah. That is the version now 2.0. The version 1.0 was with boxes and wires. And now, I said, I want to Mr. This, please, can you not make another version without the box and the wires? Because every time people look there, there will be box if there is a battery inside. Can you make a machine without the boxes and without the wires? Oh yeah, I'll do it. And this one is only magnet. If it works, this is a demonstration again in the Marriott room. And imagine the fascination. You see, people trying to look inside with a blue light. They was trying to stop it, no possible again. But there was something interesting. I repeat for him. Then I talked to the public about these possibilities, but nobody asked me because he did a certain amount of 3 hours there. You take the machine and go away, they go leave the room with the machine running. Nobody asked me why he took the machine to run away. He could not stop it. In the version of 2.0, you can only start. That is the simple answer. He has to create the room to open it to stop. That was it. Now, 2.0. In the version 3.0 is this one. Then you can start and you can stop. Now, and this, there you see the measurements already. I measure here, this kind. You see a dynamo coupled to the axis there, in blue. Instead of the propeller, is a dynamo here from the Audi, by the way. And because it can have very big variation of speed, and then we can measure correctly this thing. But in this case, this day I measured 250 watts. It is exceptional because that should, according to the standard model, if you consider the volume of magnets inside, and make my calculation, should be very few minutes, 3-4 minutes. But it was hours. Yeah? And then 2 years later, now it's 2010, we repeat this, that is an university in Delft. Behind the machine, you have specialists in electrical machines. It's very interesting to see this thing, because when you work with the machine, you see it soon, I hope to put this to work, you have an expectation what should be inside, the specialist. But when this was for 80% open, and giving the pieces to the audience to examine, the specialist in the machine say, but what is this? It's nothing related to my knowledge. Yeah? And that was nice for me, because there was silence. There was no gossips anymore. Just silence from 2010. Now, I have to make a photograph. This is the experiment of today. There was many others in between. Sometimes successful, not successful, and this is today. In fact, let's summarize the working of this invention to me. Until now, nothing comes from nothing, and nothing's become nothing. This is very old. I took from the Dictionary Philosophical of Voltaire, and he took from the old Greeks. But then I always say, okay, but it works. Yeah? This is from Galileo 400 years ago. It works. Good. Let's talk then, what is the possible source of energy for this? But should not be there according to standard model in mainstream physics. Yeah, what you see here is photographs. If you get a magnetic viewing paper, you put in front of these machines, you have an idea of the magnetic flux. The viewing paper, when the flux crosses in this direction, becomes clear. When it crosses in this tangential direction, it becomes dark. It doesn't have an idea. For me, that is just Medusa. I was petrified with this when you work in magnetic fields. Like, what the heck? Okay, the title of my presentation relates to magnetogenesis, creation of magnetic field. Yeah, it was missing to understand these things. First, I have to talk about energy and space. I have to bring them together to understand a minimal idea. It's always asked my conversations, asking to what is energy for you? That's everybody talks about energy nowadays, but it's energy without an adjective. No. It is very interesting, but if you think, now I heard this in the secondary school, energy is a property, a capacity of do work or do arbeit. Work and arbeit are 19th century words for energy. This is a circular definition, I cannot accept it. Let's try another one. Okay, the interesting point of energy, when you have an adjective of kinetic energy, mechanical energy, chemical energy, That's very concrete. Because the cars there talk about kinetic energy. You have a car, it has a mass and a certain speed. The square of the speed multiplied by the mass divided by 2 is joule or kilowatt hour, as we pay the bill every month. This is very concrete, we measure it. But then you have, where this amount of energy comes from, you have to explain it. And the car stops, where it went through. It never disappears. Because energy without adjective is very abstract. Energy with an adjective is extremely concrete. Yeah, don't let's tell it now to start the sequence. Let's talk about the universe. Very arrogant of my part, but the universe is understood by the mainstream physics nowadays is this universe is built of particles. You have quantum particles with mass, without mass. That's the main difference. Without mass, these particles, like photons, they travel at speed of light. With mass, they can never travel at speed of light, they'll explode. Those particles there. And you have another material for your universe called space. It's not abstract belief space, and I start talking about space-time very soon. It's very concrete. Our bricks, like particles are constructing everything. We are made of this. Space-time, particles. And energy, the interaction between these particles with the space-time, we call field. Electric field, magnetic field, thermal field, hydraulic. You have many. But the currency used in the interaction, we call energy. Like money. Very abstract. But when you recognize it, it never disappears anymore. Because it's a constant in the universe. It never disappears, it never is created. It's a constant. It just changes shape. Yeah? That is the best definition that I have from energy. Eternal pleasure. Given by Blake, a crazy pre-romantic poet in England, beginning 19th century. He understood it. Just adjective, I know what is it. I can measure kilowatt hours. Without adjective, is this. Good? Now, it's related to quantum energy, and the way you use nowadays is the form of matter or electromagnetic waves. This is energy in coherence pattern, coherence, not in chaos. Now, matter and electromagnetic waves are related to my particles, the quanta. It's not a continuous thing, drops. When you zoom in, you find immersion drops of things. Yeah? The fermions are the ones, the particles, like proton, electron, they have a mass. The bosons, just a name, what's in a name? They are the photon group, they have no mass. And there is a small problem in the game because the mainstream say, yeah, look into matter and electromagnetic field. Oh, because I only have 60% of the possibilities. I'm missing 94%. Black matter, black energy. They don't know. That to disregard this as impossible is really arrogant. They don't know. But because take a look in the photon. It's very interesting particle because no mass, no charge, but frequency, vibrations, energy is there. It's a drop of energy, very well determined with the Planck constant. Have a wavelength. Then you say, oh, well, I understood. Is this a particle of light? The answer you get is a photon, is a photon, is a photon. Yeah? That is the idea. But there is very interesting thing when we start looking to the interaction between the particles. Now it appears for space and time separated. To talk about space separate from time, we are saying the world is flat. The concept of curvatures in the space comes already. They are in fact together. Let's not put so much time, but just saying this: if you define the distance by time, it's the velocity of your car. No? But if you have a constant, a limit case of velocity, that's c, the velocity of light, speed of light, that is c from celeritas, that is in every way you look to the universe, in every reference, is the maximum you can have for speed. Is c, the distance divided by time is a constant, but distance and time are related. They are not decoupled. Because every time I see space, I'm talking about the space-time. But here you see interactions in the vibrations that are the photons between the protons and the electrons, yeah, and between electrons and electrons, and that is nice because the was accepted it. I'm here. Why? I'm here on average. Don't make mistake. You are seeing something average. There are much more vibrations around. You see George average. And what is average? The electron, the proton. Suppose it's as big as a farm in the center of the United States. And now it's nice because everybody knows how big is this idea. If the proton would be so big as a farm, the electrons are dancing somewhere on the borders. So far away, they want to clash to the protons. Positive and negative attract. They want it. But take a look. Electrons, when they receive a photon, they can absorb and give back photons. They interact like that. It's an interface. When they get a photon, he has more energy. He's kind of dancing outside the border. More and more. That's quantum mechanics. More photons, more distance from the center. They give photon away, he gets back. But he jumps in the Black Sea, in the swimming pool of Dirac. He jumps in the direction of the proton. But halfway somewhere, he got photon from the space and get back. Because it remains in position, on average, interacting with the space this way. Yeah, that's the way, right? And there is something more to talk about. Is the small circuit in the second line there. What is this? It is a photograph. It's a camera at a microscopic level. In point A, you have a photon in the beginning with a lot of energy, high energy photon. It becomes spontaneously a particle, an electron from one side and a positron from the other side. Therefore, it goes in these directions. This transformation from photons to particles, fermions, and back, this is what's going on here now. This is the Black Sea of Dirac. You are in the center of an ocean full of activities, all the time happening. It's a lot. It looks nothing because it's so much that we cannot interfere in it. Because on average, nothing happens. But in fact, it's a continuous process of exchange of energy shape. This is the idea of space. And then I got the last one, already in 1915, when Einstein proposed his gravitational theory. He said, oh, space, when you have a big mass, that's the sound for it, space is curved around it. I mean, when you see the eclipses, you look to the sun dark, you see stars here. But this should be behind the sun. Light is traveling in shapes, in surfaces. It's not flat. And not on the idea, because how can it be empty space curved? No, this is not empty at all. No? The model of the energy source is coming this way. Because all the fields, the interactions between particles in space-time, they are also quantized. They are not a continuous thing, drops always of energy. And every point here, whatsoever, on the moon, every country on Earth has this space. This is very democratic. Then if you remove matter and electromagnetic waves, what remains behind? Oh, vacuum, perfect vacuum. But even though you have the fluctuations, the energy is there, did not disappear. Because even if you try to go to absolute zero, but nothing moves anymore, no, you do not get it. The energy is there. This is 0-point energy of nowadays, people talk about that. Because vacuum or the space-time has all the properties of matter, of the particle. They have also spin, they have energy, all the properties. Those is just bricks for the construction of the universe. But it's extremely chaotic, really chaotic. therefore looks nothing. But nothing can become nothing. Yeah, it's full. This is plenum. Now, if you accept that, that's mainstream, huh? That's not my thing, it's mainstream. I just learned this from reports and books. It's what's there. Now we have to enter in the conversion. How to use this chaotic energy. That's not the model for the machine. That is important. I don't like beautiful pictures for my students in the past, because then I kill your imagination. You have to imagine what I'm trying to say in this bad picture. I'm saying the following there. Suppose I put here in the ceiling a bar of iron, and I take a magnet, permanent magnet, 10K magnet, and if I go to the direction to the iron, it goes to attract black, goes upstairs. But I put two springs fixed in the magnet, and they go up. The springs take them back, then the bar will be here. Floating, not floating, fixed with the springs, here, mid of the room. I'm asking, is this, in this process, energy involved? Nothing is moving. How long this bar will be there? How long? It's a very interesting idea. Huh? It's a thought experiment, but can be repeated. Well, the point is how it works. Yeah, if I want to do by myself, taking the bar, I can keep it here as long as I eat. Then I produce energy by chemical process, I can support it. If I do not eat, it falls down. But with the magnets, how long it will be in the refrigerator? And there is a more important question. The room is 20 degrees. What happens when I make the room 25, 30, 50 degrees hot? A certain room, around 100 degrees or something, I destroy the magnet. Oh, the grid is going to be. But the other question is important. It's like the second part of the experiment of Faraday. No students will ask the other, they say, oh, the hot temperature magnetism. But please, what happens when I cool down the room? What happens to the magnet? I go to direct to zero. What do you expect to happen? The bar is here. I cool down, what goes on? It becomes stronger, the magnet, stronger and stronger. It goes against the thermal loss. Let's put it like that. It becomes better, because the machine works much better in South Pole than here. Much better in the space than here. The magnets will be stronger. Because you can only destroy the magnet in two ways, huh? We know. Of course, not with a hammer, that's evident. But by hot temperature, or if you put another magnetic field on top of it, stronger than him, then you interfere in this matter structure. Okay? So this process indeed is involving energy. Magnet, I'm here with my magnet. There on the corner is a bar, iron, what's all another magnet. And if I do this, he feels my presence. Something brings the force there. Empty? Mm-hmm. That is this. The model of the magnet, the most simple I can tell you for. Internally, you have the center, they are the magnet moments. They have the protons in the grid fixed in the matter, and around it, the electrons are dancing somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but they are around. What makes magnet very exceptional is the only material with this property. They dance synchronized. They do not clash with each other. Like in copper, aluminum, there's not this chaotic down, but the magnet is coherent. They dance together, like in the ballroom. Because they get photons from the chaos of the space and deliver them back in a circular pattern, dancing like this. You create in the chaos a pattern called magnetic field. And this pattern goes up to there. And then it gets weaker. And it goes back to the mother, the energy, to the growth, the big mother, the ocean of energy, the space. It comes from the chaotic space, becomes coherent, and goes down back to space. Low, far away, who less coherence. Because it's a continuous flow of energy, average 0. Average 0. There is no work to do. The source is the most simple that we can talk. It's just magnets have the property to induce a coherent pattern in space-time. We call the magnetic field from the chaotic energy from space-time. That I cannot make. Yeah. Just for the show, you can have an idea if you do by computer. There's nice parts to work with electricity. You never see things. It's always in your mind, but it's dead again if you do it wrong. It's something like that. You make the patterns around. Yeah. Okay, that is the source of energy. And then I go on to the machine. It's a very common question I always get. Oh, how nice. But does this machine work in theory? It's the other way around. Should be not like that. The machine works. Sorry for the theory. There's a very known Dutch cartoonist that says, okay, let's go through it. I have 3 motivations to go further with my model. And of course, I always get help from the giants. This statements from Fourier. He was a general under Napoleon, but you cannot know them by this profession. He was a mathematician. And he'll say one of the first was working with the composition of signals and the thing. Yeah, observation. Just keep looking around what you see. The reasons why the magnet works like that, I have not understood, of course not. Cannot understand why they like that, but you can discover the laws, the rules to describe this in a useful way by observation. Yeah, we can do this. I have observed this machine for a long time. I do not look inside. Absolutely don't want to do it. Then you take me the pleasure to make models. That's my profession. There is another important statement that again from Galileo, that I have the right to have an opinion in spite of 1,000 experts in the room. We can propose. In the matter of science, the rule is very important. Okay, and as an engineer, it's much easier because I know that all models are wrong, of course, but there are very few ones, really practical ones. Then I can build things. And it keeps going, improving models all the time. By tables, then rules, mathematics. Using these 3, I first went to the best book in classical electrodynamics from Griffiths. And in the introduction of this book, you have this statement that the electrodynamics is really beautiful. They say this complete and successful theory as an example for all the other theories in physics. All the others should strive to do the same. And that you say to first year, second year students. There is a crime against science in this statement. One word is fully misleading and really aggressive. He's saying that a theory is complete. There is no complete theory in the empirical model. A little bit experiment, a little bit different, change everything. The theory changes as following explanation for experiments. There is no complete theory. Because Griffiths in this book saying if I go to my house and try to build the machine in the garage or in my kitchen, I will never succeed. Because the theory is complete, and in this book there is no machine like that. No, it's done. Only people that never read electrodynamics try it. And there is many inventors doing this. Okay, let's remove it. Without complete is true, it's a beautiful and successful theory. It's really true. But please take away the word complete. But that is an example that the theory is not complete. Then I have to look another theory. There are many ways, but I took recently, by the way, I wrote a paper about this thing. In the standard model, the space is curved. That's okay. But this curved space, gravity, and you have electromagnetism to the other side, totally disconnected from gravity. There is no link between gravity and electromagnetism. In the world of electromagnetism, with the Maxwell equation nowadays, still, it goes up to the special relativity theory. You have flat space, there is a link between space-time, the clocks become different times, but it's flat. And the gravitation by Einstein is curved. Cartan, there was a mathematician in the 20s, or not these 20s, the other 100 years ago, he was writing to Einstein many letters, making a proposition, well, if you accept to introduce, because this is the tangent, every point, if it's curved, in every point a tangent forward like that. But if you accept to that space can have torsion, this, in every point, then it's possible to combine electromagnetism and gravitation in the same way. And then is this theory that was improved not long ago by Evans, this theoretical physicist. And this is a very strong personality. That's the reason so many fight against the physicists about this. But he made the improvement. But in this theory, when you read it, this he accepts without any problem these machines. It gives, but it's heavy mathematics because you have to think in 4 dimensions. You have to have tensors, but you can. This is possible according to DC theory. What is not possible according to classical theory? Then I take the DC theory. It does better forecast than the other one. Because on the basis of this, I have the paper. It will be too much to talk. Analyzing previous patterns, where you see how to open a small gate about the possibility of running machines, self-running machines. It is twisting of space, the key, the possible missing link. In another the part 1 of this series I was trying, it's nice when I retire, I don't have time for these things. Then the part 1 is how eventually to use the position of the magnetic field to make calculations, not according to classical way. In the classical way, my average torque in this machine will be always 0, but you have to make a separate small change in the position. If there is more magnetic field there, according to by resonance, it's possible to start getting this kind of evidence. Okay, and get almost at the end of my talk. I always count this 50%. 5% of the audience start sleeping, it's time to stop. Almost there. That is the model. The universe made of particles and space-time. That's mainstream. Vacuum is absolutely nothing. It's really full, it's plenty. It seems that I can get resonance, the dream of Tesla. We can get resonance in space-time by geometric structures, the 10,000-old human dream, using magnets. Yeah? This interaction with magnetic fields allows the displacement energy flow from the space-time. That is it. If someone comes with another theory, giving a better explanation, I'll be the first one to adopt it. No problem. But this is equivalent. Doing the same. I'll keep mine because I was first. This is the way it goes in the empirical method. Yes? Go. Then I get the title of the presentation back. I talk about an engine, energy, and space. And I say, don't take it for the words. Do the experiments. I give a few ones. And as conclusion, say, whatsoever, where we look, the force is with us. Okay, thank you. I could ask some questions if you want. I don't. We have some time. Then you can just. And then, Mr. These are going to start the evidence. The body is there. Okay.
Bilgisayar taştan yeter. Kamera canlı yayın. Sen bilirsin. Daha kolay olur.
Das ist ja überhaupt auch, genau. Ich will noch nicht so viel, aber jetzt was dabei. Sicher. Ist dir bewusst, dass das gestreamt wird?
Was?
Ist dir bewusst, dass das gestreamt wird nach YouTube?
Das was?
Ist dir bewusst, dass das nach YouTube gestreamt wird?
Keine Ahnung.
Ist so, direkt vor dir. Aha.
Weil wir wissen nicht, ob die Reformen darauf eingehen. Ja.
Das kann man alles sofort. Yok, fotoğraf çekilmek istiyorum. Ali. Ben seni Halil olarak biliyorum.
Aşağı doğru çek. Aşağıdan yukarı çek.
Tesla şu anda elektrikli araçlar için yapıyor.
Can you please ask him which of these projects that are first year?
Schneider'i çok sevdim. Ondan anladım. Schneider'la. Thank you.
Aslında hani
More students, more money. You
Of.
are used to because you get bored. You cannot get the only. You cannot put yourself in a situation like that. You have to